when he decided to go to culinary school, it was pretty tough. I remember having my mother-in-law have a conversation with me in the kitchen, and she says, "Hi, Jessica." She's like, "Michael, you guys have such a good job at the bank. Why does he want to leave the bank? He could move up, make some money." They said, "The restaurant's so tough. This is security. Banking is such a great opportunity. He needs to stay in banking." Almost like try to convince him. And I remember telling my mother-in-law, like, "No, but this is his passion. This is what he wants to do. And it's better to do it now than to do it when he's later down the line, married with kids. This is a great opportunity," I told my mother-in-law, because he has nothing. He's living at home, no children, and this is his time to self-explore and see if this is what he really wants.
Well, I love the San Gabriel Valley.
Welcome to the My SGV podcast.
So I grew up here and I still live in Alhambra.
I was raised in between Temple City and Alhambra.
Eventually resided in South San Gabriel.
Our mission is to capture and share the stories of the people of the San Gabriel Valley.
Monterey Park has pretty much been my whole life.
Well, I'm proud to say that I was born and raised in the San Gabriel Valley.
We believe our diversity is what makes the SGV great. And no matter where you are from in the San Gabriel Valley, you will feel welcome. All right, SGVers, welcome back to another episode of the My SGV podcast. Thank you for tuning in. If you are new here, we bring you the stories of the people of the San Gabriel Valley. And if you are a returning listener, thank you so much for spending this time with us. We do appreciate it. Well, I guess in the last 6 weeks, you guys have noticed that I've been in Scott's chair. Scott's not here. I'm back in my chair now, but Scott is not here. So Scott's still working on some important business stuff, and he'll be back with us, I think, not in the next episode, but one more after that. So just me today. And in thinking of the direction of my pregame or the story here related to the guest, initially I was going to go into one direction, but now I've decided to change that. And just in hearing them speak about each other. So there's two here today. And I think if you're a fan of the show, I often mention my wife and the things that she is and does and pursues. But my wife is a constant pursuer of truth and learning, and is constantly upgrading her skills, specifically around parenting and communication and connection, and pursuing those with a great passion. And I'm so much the beneficiary of her pursuits, her intentionality to grow and to be better. And she pushes me in those ways to be better and to join her. Like, if I don't, I'm going to be left behind. So she's going to obtain those skills without me. And it's just a real blessing to join her. And that wasn't always the case. I think at some point I thought, I'm okay. I've made it this far. I'm an adult. I'm in my 40s. I don't, what more do I need to learn? And what I needed to learn was that I need to continue to learn and continue to grow with her on this journey. So I very much appreciate all the growth, because of her and all of her support. So she doesn't listen to the show, but maybe one day my children or someone will listen to this. But anyway, before we get on to today's guest, I want to thank Paris Baguette for sponsoring the show and providing the delicious treats back there for our guests every week. If you haven't already, go check them out in the city of San Gabriel on Las Tunas. Paris Baguette, say hi to Jason for us. All right, now to today's guest. Hold on to your taste buds, because today we're serving up a sizzling story of passion, resilience, and cheesesteaks. Two dynamic entrepreneurs, both born and raised in the San Gabriel Valley, who dared to trade their corporate ties for culinary triumph. They transformed their lives in 2018, quitting their high-powered jobs and selling their home to chase a dream. Together, they launched a cheesesteak joint that quickly became a local sensation, racking up accolades like Yelp's top 50 restaurants in the San Gabriel Valley and grabbing the spotlight on platforms like LA Eater, KTLA, and Fox 11. But this isn't just about great food. It's about building community. They've turned their restaurant into a hub of quality and service, mentoring their staff and creating a family-like atmosphere. Get ready to meet the power couple who brought West Coast flavor to the cheesesteak world. Let's give it up for the couple behind West Coast Cheesesteaks, Jessica and Michael Garcia. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Russell. Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Yes, good morning. Thank you.
Wow, that's a great intro.
Yes,
Gosh,
those
I was
words.
about to start crying right now, Russell. I have that problem. I'm always going to start crying. I think Father's Day just came and the kids are reading me letters and I'm like, they're like, we know, Dad's going to start crying.
That's awesome, though. I mean, I cry in front of my kids. That's, it's a strength, I think. Yeah.
It is.
So how many kids do you have?
We have 4. We have 4 boys. Do you
Wow.
want to touch into that?
Yeah, we have 4 boys. We have one that's going to be entering high school, our oldest, and we have a 12-year-old, and we have twin boys, 8 years old. So yes, we're very busy, have our hands full. Sports.
Identical?
Well, they're considered fraternal, but they're identical because I found out later that I was having twins, so I actually have to do a test, but everybody confuses them all the time.
Wow.
So never got my girl, but it's for a reason. And we stopped at the 4, but 4 is perfect. They play together. They have each other. There's 4, so even numbers.
That's a handful.
Yes, it is. Yes. Wouldn't trade it for the world, though.
So I'm curious about the cheesecake story and specifically why it's like sort of caught this like momentum to tell your story. But before we get into that, what is your connection to the San Gabriel Valley?
Well, I was born and raised. I was born in Montebello at Beverly Hospital. Grew up in Duarte. Went to school in Monrovia, Catholic elementary school. So everything's been in the San Gabriel Valley against the foothills. So yeah, I mean, we decided when we were looking for a restaurant, it fit perfectly. We had opportunities elsewhere in Orange County, and then it came back, and Glendora was open, and we said, let's do it. And so I'm so happy that we did.
Definitely. I mean, I'm born and raised also in San Gabriel Valley. I graduated from Alhambra High School. I went to Pasadena City College. And like Michael said, we had different opportunities, different locations when looking. And when Glendora came up, we said, this just feels like home. We have to do it here in the city where we're born and raised.
So Michael, born in Montebello, and then you moved to Duarte.
I was a baby. My parents, I was like 2 weeks old when my parents purchased their house in Duarte.
I see.
Brand new house. So it was all pretty much dirt there, they say. So yeah, I've been there since 1980.
So you mostly grew up in Duarte then?
I mostly,
in the foothills.
Exactly.
And what was life like for you growing up there?
Wonderful. We were talking about that, and that was kind of part of the SGV3, what we were discussing earlier, those memories of just the closeness with my friends. Everybody lived in the community. We would ride our bikes everywhere. We would rollerblade. I played a lot of street hockey when I was younger. So we would have street hockey games on the tennis courts up in Canto, in Duarte. So, I knew everything about the foothills there all the way to Monrovia. So it was wonderful. It's great. Azusa Canyon, we would go up there. So lots of memories.
And what is your ethnic background?
Mexican American.
And was there a large Mexican-American community there?
I think our community is very diverse, especially even then and now, from everything from, we have, my neighbor is Indian, my other neighbor is Filipino, Chinese. So we had everything. And that's what was great. And even in our school, the diversity was great. So.
Yeah, we haven't had many guests from Duarte, but unlike, let's say, El Monte or Monterey Park, where
correct.
There is a mix, but it's primarily
Yeah.
Asian or primarily Latino. Right?
Yeah, you don't really see that. I think in the Duarte, it's very diverse. Our whole street and the blocks, everything is very diverse.
I see.
So.
And what kind of child were you?
I think as a child, I was good. I was quiet. So that's one thing my parents always say. I was quiet. I was calm. Not really crazy. Not into the teenage years. I think that's when I started kind of being a little bit more rebellious. So.
And what does rebellious mean?
Rebellious. I was still respectful. I think one thing is, you're wild, and it's, in the 90s, and, it's, we always respected my parents, always listened to my parents. I think rebellious wise, I wasn't the best at school. That's one thing, my parents and we always discussed about education, which it is important. Though I went to a Catholic elementary school, went to a Catholic high school, didn't graduate from there, got pulled out junior year, graduated my last year at Monrovia High. So that was a big change in my life, seeing my older brother and older sister graduating from Catholic high schools and moving forward. And so I was the youngest. I'm the youngest of the three, of us three. And so, yeah, so I guess when it becomes a rebellious or, just not as focused as I should have been. But, I was discussing this with my parents during the week, and I said, things happen for a reason. It doesn't define you that I didn't graduate from a Catholic high school and move on to a university like my sister did. But, I think those pains and those hardships that I did experience, I understand them now, and I think has helped me to where I'm at now.
Mm-hmm. And Jessica, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Covina, but I did go to Alhambra High School because my parents both worked, and they didn't want me home alone. So I would go to my aunt's. I would go to Alhambra High. They would drop me off, and I would be at my aunt's until my mom was able to pick me up in the evening. So I lived in Covina, but I did attend Alhambra High School.
Well, you made that commute every day?
Every day, yes.
Whoa.
Yes.
And I guess most of our listeners are from the SGV, but if you're not, like, what is that, like an hour maybe
with
one way?
With traffic, about probably 45 minutes. Yes. Mm-hmm.
That's tough.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But it was a sacrifice that they wanted to make. I did live next door to 3 boys, and so they didn't want me being home all day by myself also, knowing that they leave at 6 in the morning and they're not home till 6 in the evening. So they just didn't want me home. So they would take me to my aunt's, and they would drop me off at school, and then my aunt would pick me up from school every day.
So how was like your friend? How are your friends? Like, because you must have had friends in high school, but you didn't live close to them.
It's funny. I didn't have any friends in Covina. I had all my friends in Alhambra. To this day, one of my best friends is from Alhambra High School. And so all of my friends were out there. So I would actually, if I had to go out there, my parents would drop me off at their houses. But my life really was in Alhambra, even though I slept in Covina at my house every night.
Mm. And what was life like for you growing up?
You know what? I was a good student. I didn't struggle. I brought in A's and B's, and I sometimes wish, being from a Hispanic family, was my parents both worked, and sometimes I feel that if they would have kind of pushed me a little bit more, it was kind of like an everyday conversation. Oh, how was school? Good. Did you finish your homework? Yes. I was expected to get those A's and B's, and I think I was the opposite of Michael, that I feel that I know I had more potential. I had some friends that were taking AP classes, and I just didn't push myself, and I didn't have that. So I kind of always felt like I needed to, I could have been better. I was good, but I know I could have been better. And, after that I went to Pasadena City College. Great experience there. But sometimes I think what happens, after that I did go to Cal State LA for a little bit, but sometimes I feel like after high school, maybe if I would have pushed myself or been pushed, maybe I could have went to UCLA, USC, had a bigger dream.
Mm. Were your parents like involved in your schooling, your education, your life at that time?
No, it was the basic conversation of how school, they worked. So it was kind of, I was the oldest. I have a younger brother. We're about almost 10 years apart. So it was more of just, you go to school because you need to go to school. It's part of life. But it wasn't a focus of education. It was part of your life journey that you had to go to school.
Mm. And what kind of family traditions did you have? Like holidays, vacations, like what did that look like?
As far as my parents always working, I really, I had an aunt who I always went on vacations, but it was never really, it was nothing. I know me and Michael kind of experienced different lifestyles. His family focused on, they went on vacations. We really didn't do vacations. I think once I went on a vacation because it was my 15th birthday. My aunt took me to Cancun, Mexico. But my parents were really the typical working 9 to 6, make sure that we had food on the table, clothing on our back. We were happy, but it was nothing as a push to say to do better in life. Just go through life, go through the motions and be yourself, but nothing to say that nothing more that I look now that I have kids. My parents were good parents, but now that I have kids, I look back and, as a mom, you want your kids to experience things, even taking them somewhere on the weekend and having them look through their eyes and saying, oh my God, this is beautiful, this is nice, or I had such a fun experience. I asked my one of the twins the other day, what they wanted to do this weekend. And it was like, oh, they love going to hotels. I never experienced that. So those little things that now I'm a mom, I make sure that my kids get to experience. And I think it's not so much that my parents maybe financially couldn't, because they, like I said, we lived comfortably. We had a nice Covina house, but I don't think they knew kind of that knowledge of, do better, experience more things.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I'm going to move back to Michael. I'm sort of like moving like this way linearly. So we're sort of like on the same timeline here. So you were sort of a rebellious teenager. What happens after, say, high school?
Yeah, so after high school, I ended up working for Wells Fargo. I was 18 years old, which was great, which also helped me grow, mature. And Jessica and I met in 2000 at Wells Fargo. So right after, she was going to college, then you went to PCC.
And then I went to Cal State LA for a semester when I started working for Wells Fargo, and I kind of moved up pretty fast. So, going from a semester to a quarter system was really tough for me. So I decided to go to University of Phoenix and take some online classes. And that's kind of where we met at Wells Fargo. And so I kind of said, hey, want to take some classes together? Because at that point he was, I don't know, you were at Citrus, but it wasn't working out.
Yeah, it wasn't working out. I was kind of ditching, or I guess, I don't know if you call it ditching when you're in college. But even then, right?
Throwing money away.
Yeah, throwing money away. 19, my parents are like, what's going on? The first year of Citrus College, they even took my car away. They're like, nope, you're not going to school. Your car's taken away. So, I just wasn't, maturing. I wasn't mature enough. I just didn't take things seriously yet. I did go to work. That's one thing, when we talk about work, Jessica and I, even though I was 18, one thing my parents always showed us, they have really good working, they're disciplined, working habits. That's one thing we've always, both of us have gotten from our parents. And that's one thing I did have, always showed up, wasn't late. But again, besides that, I was still a little bit lost. I wasn't sure what I wanted to go to. She stayed in the banking career. She moved up the ranks, 20 years Wells Fargo. At one point, she took me to, she's like, let's go to University of Phoenix together, right? Help me out, get me in, get your degree. And which she did. Jessica got her bachelor's in business. And I go, you know what? This isn't for me anymore. I said, this part of school, I said, I think I'm going to go to culinary school. And I was 25. And that's where my journey, I think that's when the light bulb went on. So I went to culinary school, really focused, loved it, obviously, and did well. I graduated Dean's List. And again, and my wife at the time, we were dating, we were boyfriend, girlfriend. She helped me out so much, being that I wasn't the best at writing, math, and even though I had to take those courses in culinary school, you do graduate with an associate's degree. She would proofread my essays. She would help me out on my math. She would,
quiz you with index cards.
Quiz me with index cards. So, and even till this day, right? The emails we send to you, I have nothing, to hide or be ashamed that I do. You always have to ask for help. If you don't know something, ask. I always tell my kids that. So your emails to you, Russell, Jessica, we're brainstorming. I'm writing the bio, and then she takes it and she fixes it in a way, But so I think we work well as a team like that, and that's where I say that's where my journey kind of switched there to culinary school, and then marriage 2 years later.
Well, I want to back up a little bit. So you both worked at Wells Fargo, and then you asked him to go take classes with you. Is that how it all started?
So we were already talking. I mean, we were already kind of talking, and
I met you when I was 20.
Yeah, when we were 20, and I had turned 21.
Talking like, oh, let's go to lunch, like that kind of
thing. We kind of had already gone out a couple times. And so I remember leaving Cal State, because I remember I had just became a service manager, and it was overwhelming for me on the quarter system. And I was like, there's no way that I can go to school, work 40 hours plus, and then go to school at night from 7 to 10, Monday through Thursday. I just felt, the second week they were already talking about midterms, finals, and I just felt overwhelmed. And I said, I know I could do this, but I got to figure out how I'm going to do this. So I started looking to University of Phoenix, and I said, this is going to work best for me. And so then I approached Michael, and I said, hey, why don't you, take a couple of classes with me? Let's do it together, and let's see, how it goes. So I we probably took a semester or two, and that's when he still realized that it wasn't for him. And I remember back then we were dating, so my in-laws now, but when he decided to go to culinary school, it was pretty tough. I remember having my mother-in-law have a conversation with me in the kitchen, and she says, "Hi, Jessica." She's like, "Michael, you guys have such a good job at the bank. Why does he want to leave the bank? He could move up, make some money." They owned a restaurant for a short period of time in their early marriage, and they said the restaurant's so tough. This is security. Banking is such a great opportunity. He needs to stay in banking. Almost like try to convince him. And I remember telling my mother-in-law, like, no, but this is his passion. This is what he wants to do, and it's better to do it now than to do it when he's later down the line, married with kids. This is a great opportunity, I told my mother-in-law, because he has nothing. He's living at home, no children, and this is his time to self-explore and see if this is what he really wants.
Mm. And you were just boyfriend and girlfriend then?
Boyfriend and girlfriend then.
So were you working while you were going to culinary school?
I was not. So my parents did support me and help me out there, which I really appreciate that. I would take care of my grandparents were living at my parents' house, and I would, when I would get out of school, take care of my grandparents, take them to their doctor's appointments. So that was kind of my way, like, well, help me out with your grandparents, and we'll help you out financially while you're going to culinary school. And I said, of course, thank you. And absolutely, of course, I'm going to do it without being paid for my grandparents. I'm going to take care of them. But yes, they did help me out financially with culinary school, and still now, right? I do have to talk about my parents. So it's, I know we're kind of I'm a little all over the place, but we're in DeWarty. I'm back at the house that I grew up in when I was a baby. Like we said, we sold our house in Corona. We had a beautiful house, getting this thing started, and the sacrifice you have to do. And, it's I can't thank my parents enough, so we're there at our DeWarty house. Obviously, we're always looking in the market for another house. We know how expensive things are, but, things happen for a reason. And, I'm grateful for what I have right now, so.
You're living in your childhood home.
My childhood home.
With your family.
Yes.
Yeah, so think about it. We've been out since we got married 27 on our own, and then I'm back over here at 44.
Wow. So
it's a big, and with my kids. So, my kids have sacrificed too, and, so it's a journey. It's not for everybody,
And I am grateful for my in-laws. And the one thing I always look at every day, and it's tough because I remember that, when we got married, we had a condo in Rancho. We lived there, and then we bought our house in Corona. So we've always been on our own, right when we got married. So, of course, having to live with somebody else, your privacy, your children, but my in-laws are really, really great people, and they help us so much, and I'm grateful for them. And but I stopped to think about the great opportunities that we have. Yes, we're living there. It's not our home. Well, it's, on paper it's not our home, but it is our home right now. And my kids get to sit down and eat dinner every night with their grandparents. So I look at those and have conversations that if we weren't, that wouldn't be happening. So things happen for a reason, and those are the things that I am grateful for right now.
And the way I look at things, you go through these notions and things are temporary, And of course, home, it's your home, but it's home is where you make it, And of course, I love being at my house. I grew up there. It's in my neighborhood that I grew up in. My kids play basketball outside in front of our house. So it's, it's nice. But I do know that I have goals. And of course, we want our house and it will come, But we have a business to grow, and we're growing it.
Yeah. I'm curious, where did you get the, the strength to come against your mom to change Michael's mind? Because that's some pressure, right? Like coming from your parents saying like, you got to maybe try and convince him to go a different direction.
I mean, I think that's just my personality. I've always spoken my mind, and like I said, my mother-in-law, she's a great person, and.
Was it your mother-in-law?
And my mother-in-law.
Oh, not your mother.
Not my mother.
Oh, your mother-in-law was trying to
mother-in-law.
convince you.
Yes, my mother-in-law. Michael's mom was like, Jessica.
Maybe that's even more scary then.
Yeah.
No, it was my mother-in-law that was like, at that time, like I said, we weren't married, we were dating, was like, Jessica, try to convince him not to go that path because it's a tough path. It's a tough path. So,
And I think as a parent, I totally understand, as a parent, I would be too concerned, going into this, especially when they've experienced it and they've owned the restaurant before and they know how tough it is. So of course they want me to go the route of finish your education, get your degree,
go to corporate world.
And that's just,
Stability.
they're the baby boomers, right? That's the mentality, which is fine. But their work ethic is incredible. That's one thing I would say about these baby boomers. They do, and I get that, or both of our parents, and their work ethic is top notch.
Yeah. So you finished culinary school, and when does the idea for West Coast cheesesteaks come about? Or what was that the first idea?
No, it wasn't. And you know what? It was really never, we were just discussing this last night. We were going to bed, and she's like, people are asking me, why cheesesteaks? Why cheesesteaks? But it was never an idea of mine, going to culinary school, 10 years. It literally happened. And, sometimes they say you hear this little voice in your head. But fast forward, it came in 2018, really. 2018, after culinary school, I was in the wine industry a number of years. Then I did outside sales for Sysco Foods. And so working at Sysco, it's tough. It's sales. You're out there knocking on doors, getting doors shut on you. And I think it was finally a point where the door was shut on me. Which, not that I said, I give up, I'm done with this, but it was more the door being shut on me said, it's time. And I was in my car, I was literally like crying because I needed this account, everything's commission based. And I was crying by myself in my car, and something came up and it said like cheesesteaks. And I never made a cheesesteak in my life. Not one time. Never cooked it for my family or anybody. But, in our early 20s, there was a cheesesteak spot that I really did love in West Hollywood. It's called Steak Depot. And a good friend of mine, my best friend Anthony, lived out there. He's like, try this place out. And I loved it. And it's so weird how he was sending, when phones started getting better, sending us a picture. He's like, hey, look where I'm at. And this was mid 2000s. And I was like, damn it, you're over there at Steak Depot. But that was it. And I think I loved those cheesesteaks. And I think that's what just stayed in my brain. But I never did anything. I never thought about it after. I never, for 10 years, I never even had a cheesesteak after that. I got married, moved to Corona. And then it just came back to me. And that's where cheesesteaks came upon. And then not only that, working in sales and I would help out my customers, especially, obviously I speak Spanish, or not obviously, but, I speak Spanish, and helping my customers out that didn't really speak really well English, and they had restaurants, Mexican restaurants. I would literally help them write their checks to pay me, their invoices. They're like, Michael, can you help me fill out my check? And then I started clicking. I was like, how are they doing it? Like, I'm culinary trained. I speak 2 languages.
Born and raised here. There's no reason why I can't. If they could do it, I can do it. And, but I saw their work ethic, and I was like, they worked hard. And what really threw it over the top, I think, just hearing my customers, specifically one customer, they were in Moreno Valley, that I used to help write the checks. His kids were, one of his oldest was getting accepted to UCLA. And I remember giving him a hug. I was like, wow, you got to be so proud. And he was like, I am. He's like, but it's hard work, and I do this for them, and that's my mentality now. I tell my wife all the time, it's not even about me. Or us anymore.
Or us. I don't care about luxuries. I don't care about Rolexes and watches and stuff like that. Like, I just want to leave something. When I'm gone, I want to make sure that something was left, that this is for the family, So that's my vision of this business, of the growth of what we're going to become.
Yeah. You have 4 boys, and I think you said the oldest is they're teenagers.
Correct, 14.
And then it sounds like they were already here before West Coast Cheesesteaks.
Yes.
So what was it like as a family, and sort of like trying to bring this whole thing together while raising kids? That's,
Well, it's crazy because our life used to be crazy before working corporate jobs and juggling the 4 kids. I mean, I used to get home like after 7 o'clock, Michael was always rushing. They were in the after school program. So they would be there, the last kids, till 6 o'clock. He would be rushing, getting them, going home, cooking dinner. I would rush in the house, sit down, we would eat dinner, and there was like, okay, bedtime, and we would do it all over again. And so, I mean, our life was crazy back then.
It was very crazy, but we were a team, you know. I mean, it was us, you know. I would pick up the twins. I would walk in with 2 babies in the arms, start cooking dinner. But, you know, going to the restaurant, yeah, they were, the oldest was 9.
When we started, yeah.
The other ones are 5, and, you know, so, you know, our kids are tough, and, you know, again, with the family support, we were all there. Obviously, we were there every day. But, yeah, it is tough. But if you want these things, you know, people do want it easy, and it's not going to just come like that. You know, hard work, you do have to put in the hard work. In the beginning, opening up the business, you know, after a year or 2, you know, we were winning somewhere, we made the top list. I started like, oh, okay, this is a little bit easier, you know, but you know, in business, it could come up and down, and then COVID hits, you know, and that's when it was scary, because you put in everything. You just put those chips all in. You're just like, I'm going to open up this restaurant, sold to your house. Everything's going in. Then COVID hits, and then you have a Saturday that you did $200 in sales. So that, you know, we didn't go start fighting. We never did that. You know, obviously we have our disagreements on where the business, what we got to get done, and so forth. But, you know, you think about your kids. You're like, okay, what did we do? Did we do the right thing? But I know we did the right thing, but it takes time. It's like you constantly have to be watering it. It grows a little bit. Keep on watering. You stop watering it, it stops growing.
I know I do want to back up. I know a little bit about, I remember working our corporate jobs and coming home one day and walking into the dining room of our house, and Michael was sitting in the dining room with a pad and a paper, and I said, "Oh, what's going on?" He had this look on his face, and he's like, "I want to open up a restaurant." And I said, "Ha ha ha ha!" I said, "You're crazy." I said, "What do you mean you want to open up a restaurant? We both have very good jobs. We have biweekly paychecks. We have insurance for our 4 kids. We have a roof over our house. We have a roof over our head, excuse me." I said, and I said, "That's insane. I see business customers every day close their business account. I know I see business customers overdrawn. I see it all working in the financial industry. It's tough." And he's like, "No, Jess, I'm serious." And then I said, he's like, "Look," and so he had all these notes on a piece of paper. And Michael, as he's told his story already, he's not really good at all of that, like planning and organization, all of that stuff. I've always helped him. And so I was like, wait, he's serious now. He has a pen and paper and he has notes down. So I got to sit down and I got to listen to this. And so I remember looking at him and he was serious. And he had this look in his eye and I'm like, no, I got to listen. I got to see. How are we going to do this? And so we talked about it and we made a plan. And I said, okay. I said, if we're going to do it, we're going to do it together and we're going to go all in and we're going to figure this out together.
Mm-hmm. I think one thing, you know, with all businesses, and, you know, I say this a lot, like, it's not just about cheesesteaks, right? Like, you know, there's so many other foods I do like. It could be tacos, which I love, obviously, we're Mexican. But, you know, it's the training that we both had, right? I wouldn't have been ready to open up a restaurant when I was 30. You know, I was barely learning to the outside world and sales and learning products, like training, and her 20 years of management in Wells Fargo, she was 20 years, and myself also managing a winery, a tasting room, because I was in the wine industry before, and then doing those outside sales, really knocking on those doors. It's tough, and I think that's what really, you know, you had to grow. I had to grow. And that's when you're saying, okay, let's do the restaurant, you know. So you do need to have that. You know, I think our business is successful because of the management of how we train our staff, and what we do, how we treat our staff, how we treat our customers, what we're looking for, how things should be. So all of that, not just the food.
Yeah. I do want to get into the food and sort of how you perfected the cheesesteak.
Mm-hmm.
But before we get into that, we ask each guest to bring an item with them. What did you bring with you today?
So at first, you know, obviously we work at a restaurant. All restaurants have knives there. But this knife, you know, we're not constantly chopping like other restaurants. Our menu is very simple. But there's one thing we do with every single bread, and is cut the bread with our bread knife. And I brought this bread knife. This has been with us since we've started the restaurant. She got it engraved. It says West Coast Cheesesteaks. You know, when I look at this knife, it's not just cutting the bread. It's the days that this knife has sat on that counter when it's not cutting bread, when it's slow, during COVID, when it's cut me. So there's a lot of, it's, you know, the good days and the bad days with this knife. It's gone through hell, you could see. It's all banged up. My father, he's a retired rig welder, and he could fix anything. He put this wooden handle, put these screws, fixed it for me. So this knife means a lot to us. Like I said, it's without this also, it's a tool, and if I don't have it, I can't do my job. But yeah, this is what I brought. This is a part of me. The same as my chef coat. This, you know, my family makes fun of me all the time. They're like, do you ever change? I go, I'll sleep in this. I actually told my kids, when I'm old and you guys are bury me in my chef coat, because this is my armor. This is all I have. This is me. This is our family. Without this, and some people might not understand that, without this logo that we created on our table, we don't eat. You know, it's not just, oh, how's business? You know, this is our livelihoods here. And for all businesses. So I respect all businesses out there, not just restaurant businesses, because it is tough. You know, your business, it's tough. So, but yeah, here we go. Victorinox chef knife. And Victorinox, if you're listening, send me more knives. No, just playing. But
yeah, that's you know, when I saw that, I was like, oh, it's a full tang blade.
It is.
But, and I was like, why is it so beefy? Why are the 3 huge screws in there?
Yeah,
and so now it makes sense that someone.
Yeah, my father.
Someone did that.
Yeah, he said it's not going to fall off, because the handles used to come off. So my father's like, it's not going to come off no more.
Yeah, so, awesome. Thanks for bringing that in.
No problem. Thank you.
So I do want to get into how the origin of the cheesesteak came about. Actually, you sort of shared a little bit about the Hollywood or North Hollywood restaurant.
Yeah, West Hollywood.
But let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Sometimes, even the best of us can slip up. That's why the law offices of Scott Wormuth are here to pick you back up again.
And while they strive to get you the biggest compensation possible, oh my gosh!
Their main concern is your health and recovery. They work closely with doctors and insurance companies to make sure you get the proper medical treatment.
Initial consultations are free, so give them a call.
At the law offices of Scott Wormuth, we're with you all the way.
I'm Scott Wormuth. We've been fighting for your rights for more than 40 years.
All right, we're back with Michael and Jessica. Before the break, you were sharing about your knife there, your bread knife, and your coat. So thank you for bringing that in. Before we get on to your story, we like to ask questions from this deck of cards called Icebreakers, and they're just a way for the audience to get to know all of us a little bit better. So here we go. What's the best job you've ever had?
Being a mother, I would say. Being a mother is the best job I've ever had. Just seeing my kids every day, as much as they say, Mom, 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 it's the most satisfying job in the world.
Yeah, awesome. My wife is a stay-at-home mom, and often, you know, when filling out forms and stuff, it's always this occupation, and she would have this, you know, sort of feeling like, is this, you know, because I don't work outside the home, or because I'm not like generating income, this sort of feeling associated with it. But I'm like, that is a tough job. It is 24/7. You never get a break, and there's never vacation. You're always on demand. You know, you're like logistical planner. You're a banker. You're, you know, a chef. You're all of these different things. I'm like, wow, that's tough, very tough. Definitely. But as you said, very rewarding.
Yes, definitely.
So I'm not going to steal your answer. I was thinking about it, but I'm going to go with one that I got paid for. So, Michael, how about you?
Oh, gosh, what's the best job that I've ever had?
Yeah,
like past, I guess.
Yeah, anyone. Yeah.
You know, I when it comes to the best job, you know, being that I was in the wine industry, you know, obviously we love talking to our customers. And I used to manage a tasting room, and I met so many customers coming up. I would hear their stories, their lives. And I would say that's what kind of, that was one of the funnest times that I had, because I learned a lot. I learned a lot to where, obviously sometimes I'm really busy in the kitchen and sometimes I don't get to talk to my customers as much, but that's to me is just talking to our customers. And I learned that was the best, I would say, my job at the time.
Awesome.
To customers.
Well, there's many different stories that I can go through here, but what came to mind was this one job that I had that I always remember, and it was to referee the Special Olympics. And I was a basketball referee. I got paid for it, but what stood out was like this team was getting blown out like 60-0. And it's an uncomfortable game to referee, right? But the kids, like when the other team scored one basket, the whole team, the whole stands, they were all cheering. The other team was cheering for them. And I was like, I always remember that moment. I was like, wow, this really puts into perspective, like, what we appreciate and we think is special and whatnot. And just to see them, like, it was such an amazing thing to see and be a part of. I only got invited to work that once, but I'll never forget that. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's nice.
They weren't even complaining, they're down by like so much. Like it wasn't about winning for them or losing.
Yeah. I get
that one basket made was so great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
I still puts a smile on my face because they were so happy. Well, if you're watching online or listening, let us know what's the best job you ever had. So now to the cheesesteaks. So you had this, you like this restaurant, and when did you decide like this is the product that you want to sell?
Yeah, I would say, so we opened in 2019. We got our location. It was 3 months before we were in the test kitchen, being that I used to work for Sysco. So Sysco has their test kitchens. We could use their products. We could play around with recipes. And that's when it was like 3 months before we opened that I really perfected the recipe. Again, we make our cheese sauces from scratch, which really, there really isn't many, or not that I know of, just cheesesteak spots that make their own cheese sauces, which really separates us.
Wait, so you found the spot. You already had the name.
We had the name.
So you already knew then that you were going to do cheesesteaks.
I already knew I was going to do cheesesteaks.
Oh, okay. And then so you're just perfecting in the test kitchen.
Correct. And which, a little risky, but again, you got to take risks in life, because it was like 2 weeks before we opened and the cheeses weren't coming out right. And I was like, oh my God, we're about to open, like we're paying rent already. And so this is where it could be a little bit crazy for some people to understand, because like, how do you open up a restaurant, put so much money in, and you've never even made it before, and you haven't even you don't even have it down yet. Most people have everything down. They do pop-ups, they do this. And I go, it's going to happen. It's going to get done. Again, I went to culinary school. I do have culinary training. And it's just research, you just have to keep on researching. Okay, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? Because of those cheese sauces. Most cheesesteak spots, everybody uses Cheese Whiz in Philly, a lot of Cheese Whiz, or just sliced cheeses, but we wanted to go a whole different direction. So
are you like doing a bechamel sauce and adding cheese?
Very similar to a bechamel sauce, very similar. So we have a cheddar base, and we make this every morning. Today I have my staff there. Ethan, good morning. So I had him there this morning. He was prepping. So you make our cheddar sauce. And then from there, we incorporate and we make a poblano, which is with the mild green chili. Then we have our chipotle, which is with the smoked jalapeno, which is a chili. So we blend these and we make our recipe. And that's what West Coast is all about.
I was wondering if there was like a Mexican, little influence in there.
Yeah, we do. A little influence. And one thing, of course, I wouldn't have a cheesesteak spot if it wasn't for Philadelphia, right? We follow some people out there. Tony Luke's out there in Philadelphia. We always, comment on our Instagrams, which he has a bunch of chains. And so, of course, if it wasn't for Philly, we wouldn't be here. But we wanted to put our twist, a little bit of our, exactly, the Mexican influence in there with the chilies, the poblano, the chipotle. But also how we cook things. We use great beef. Obviously, we use certified Angus beef. It's on my shoulder here. And we get our fresh bread daily from a local bakery. So you really can't beat that. And so we make the best. We really do.
Are you roasting poblanos yourself?
So the poblanos aren't roasted. They're a cooked poblano. So it doesn't have too much of the burnt, like a chile relleno.
Yeah.
So think of it just peeled, but not too roasty with the poblano. Because it's funny, when we were in the test kitchen, we were trying all of that, but it wasn't. Anybody who knows making chile rellenos is very labor intensive.
Yeah.
Roasting those chilies and peeling it, I've seen my parents, grandparents, it's work. And so my vision has always been simplicity, keeping it simple, making sure that there's less labor, less mistakes, and that was always my vision. So we wanted to steer away from that. That's one reason I was like, we always say when people say, "Oh, you own a restaurant? Oh, what type of Mexican restaurant do you have?" Because they were Mexican, so they think. I go, "No, I would never do a Mexican restaurant." He said, "It's too many ingredients, Again, not that I don't love food, but that's just not my vision. We want to keep it boom, 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 simple menu, in and out.
How many items on the menu?
Well, we have, you could choose between chicken and steak. We really have 3 types of cheesesteaks. We have our West Coast cheesesteaks, our classic, and our big one. And as far as sides, we have a very simple 2, onion rings, tots, cheesy tots. We have our West Coast loaded tots.
Oh, it's pretty simple.
Mm-hmm,
very simple.
And is the cheesy tots the same cheese as the cheesesteak?
Yes, so you're able to choose between the cheddar, the poblano, or the chipotle. And there's some people that don't want a cheese sauce on their cheesesteak, so we also offer sliced provolone or white American jalapeno.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, okay. And so this is like my own curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
I know like for cheese to be stringy and pulley, the acidity level matters, right? But cheddar is not like that. So is it a stretchy, like stringy sauce, or is it more like a creamy?
It's a very creamy sauce, so it's very velvety. So that's our cheddar, our poblano, our chipotle. But the cheddar is very velvety. Like I said, we shred 42-pound cheddar blocks, and so we don't buy bag cheese.
42 pound.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, what size is that? That's pretty,
it's pretty heavy. So
yeah.
It's a big block like this. My staff knows we have a big cheese knife, so you got to slide. You got to be on your tippy toes, slice big slices, and we put it in our big Hobart machine. We have a shredder. So, but you could taste the difference from buying bag cheese to freshly shredded cheddar block cheese, and to our recipe. So, you're really getting everything. It's really no preservatives. Everything is from scratch. And even our sliced cheeses are really good. We melt that on differently. We don't just lay the cheese slices on top and here you go, we flip the meat. If you see any of our Instagram videos, we'll slide it on the griddle. So all that meat goes on the juices of the cheese and it melts nicely. So
you guys survived COVID, and then I noticed, you've been on the TV and these other, publications. How did you guys get all of that?
Well, it's a mixture of both. The first opportunity we had to be live on TV, it was an email that was sent to us the day before if we wanted to be on National Cheesesteak Day. So that was one of them.
The day before, they're like, "Hey, come." Wow.
KTLA.
At first, we were picking up our bread actually in the morning, and I was going through my email and I saw a KTLA producer, and I was like, "Is this real? Is it not real? Let me make sure it's real." But yeah, we had less than 24 hours to prepare, and they said, "Did you want to come to our studios and be live with 2 other cheesesteak spots for National Cheesesteak Day?" Of course, opportunity, we're not going to say no. Sometimes I think the less notice for us to prepare, you kind of don't overthink. You kind of just do what you're going to do best, and you go. So we figured it out. I'm the organizer, so I have to stay calm. Michael's more okay, we got to do this. I said, okay, let me go. Let's get bread. Let's go back to the restaurant. Let's make a plan. Let's say what we need to do. They're asking me to send all this stuff. I'll go ahead and do that. I'll make a list of the things that you need to take. You start gathering that. So, we work like really well as a team. We offset each other and we help each other, but less preparation less notice, I guess. It's not as overwhelming. And then we were on Destination LA, which is a Channel 2 news. I think that was probably a little bit more nerve-wracking just because it's not live, but I think at that time we still wanted to make sure that, doing this, we always want to make sure that do we give enough information? Do we not give enough information? Are we, what did we leave out? Oh, I should have said this. That always goes through your mind. And so I think with the Destination LA, it was a great opportunity, and it's a great...
it was tough. We weren't used to being on camera. And they were like, cut, do it again, do it again. It's like, oh my God, we're not trained.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, and we have someone just look at me in the eyes and then just say what you need to say. I'm like, okay.
So that one was tough because it did sound like we weren't reading our script, but we had to like redo it. So we were.
Yeah. It felt a little awkward, but and then we were on Good Day LA. I actually reached out to them to see if they were doing anything on National Cheesesteak Day.
You reached out to them.
I reached out to them, and then they said they weren't doing any segments, and so then actually 2 weeks later, I had a producer reach back saying that if we were interested in doing a segment on Tasty Tuesdays. So that was also live and a fun experience. And then this last Channel 7 on the menu, I reached out to them, and then they were able to come out. So.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's a mixture of both. We're trying to get now on Guy Fieri's.
Diners, Drives, and Dives.
Yeah.
Oh, is that still going?
Yeah, it's still on Food Network.
Yeah.
What color is his hair now?
I know, right? Yeah, his hair's still spiky. Yeah, blonde. So,
but I mean, that brings back memories when we're dating, watching it, and
we always watch it. Yeah, I mean, we still, of course, it's Food Network. I do love Food Network. But yeah, and it's going on these shows. Some contacted us. Some, when the first thing that we got recognized, we didn't even know Eater came out, and then our neighbor told us, and they're like, "Oh, you guys came out on Eater." I was like, "Really?" They're like, "We didn't even know that they came." They're like, "No, they just came in, bought your food, and they wrote an article on you guys." And so that was very emotional for me. Because that was probably a year and a half in. And then we were on
the Yelps.
No, from Orange County that he had like 60,000 people who view him.
Oh yeah.
Lawu.
Lawu.
And so, like I said, just keep on. Nobody's, like I always say, nobody's gonna do it for you. They don't know that we're out. We're in this little part of Glendora against the foothills that sometimes it is frustrating because we're like, we have such a great product, but the world doesn't know we're here yet. So you got to knock on those damn doors. And that's right. That's where sometimes she's like, you need to calm down sometimes. She says, you're not angry. You're just passionate. I go, yeah, it might seem like I'm angry, but I'm just passionate because when you have so many damn doors slammed on your face when you're in sales and you finally say enough is enough, just to add my sister in there because my sister's in sales and we both can relate. She knows like you got to keep on kicking those doors down. It's not going to be given to you. So I say, keep on reaching out. Keep on reaching out to different news stations or channels or whatever it is. Let's be more involved in the community. We were just in a chamber event at the country club, Okay, great. We'll bring 50 sandwiches, and I heard that Paris Baguette donated the food for today. By all means, we will love to, support you and bring lunch for your staff or for your next guest, So we're always about the community. Like I said, our staff, a lot of them live in Glendora. We hire from Glendora High School, which is very important. So, yeah.
Before we move on to the final segment of the show, one of the things that I think separates you, and you've touched on this earlier in the show, is the way that you lead your team and the people who work with you in your business. Can you guys talk a little bit about that?
Yes. Yesterday, it's that you said that right now, one of my, it's funny because I sometimes call them coworkers. I don't like my employees know, like, I don't ever say like, oh, I'm the owner and I'm the boss, I'm in there grinding with them. Yesterday, one of my employees, Justice, she's been with me since the beginning and she's great with customers. She really is the best. And she's like, you just need a little break sometimes. She's like, we got this. You're good. Get out of here. She's like, I was like, get out of here. You're fine. We got it. I was like, no, Justice, make sure this gets taken care of. Make sure. She's like, just leave. I have it. And it does, when I think about my staff and the training and what Jessica and I, we like to mentor them. And they're young. They're all in their early 20s. And I get it. I know when I was how I was, right? When I was 20. And I said, listen, you guys just listen to me. Like, you guys, we're here to give you advice on anything. We're here to help you out for any little thing. Do you want to add to this?
No, and I think it's a constant, coaching. That's my expertise, being with Wells as a manager. It's, really caring for your people, not looking them as a number or as an employee, but really getting to know their family life. Coming in, I always tell them, I want you to come in happy. This is like your second home. I don't want I know what it is to be in or work for a manager, be in a branch in my early years where I was like, I'm not happy. This person is just mean, or this person doesn't care. I know that feeling, and I don't want any of my staff to ever feel that way. I want them to feel welcomed. And the reason why is because then our customers could feel it. You know, I want them to know that they could, you know, turn to us. We have past employees that we still reach out to. I have an employee that left me a year ago and said, Jess, can I come back to work for the summer? I'm in college now, and brought him back. And I have another employee that, you know, he graduated and he has a job and he works with me only when I need it. He didn't want to completely leave. And he says, when you need me, call me and I will fill in the days that you would need me. So it's really a family atmosphere that we have there. And I always tell them, you know, we're here to support you. You know, like Michael says, he's part of the team. You know, I'm sweeping, he's washing dishes. We're not just standing there and saying, you know, go pick up the broom and do it. If I'll pick up the broom first, or, you know, and so I always tell them I'm here to support you, because if you fail, part of my business fails. And I don't understand that with some businesses of letting their employees not equip them with the right information and tools, because then it's only going to fail part of your business.
Yeah.
I want them to be successful.
Yeah, it's not just about cooking cheesesteaks. You know, we were having, again, this discussion earlier during the week with my parents and my sister, and it's more to that. Every business, the way I look at things, because I've had mentors as well, and you know, what else is going on? You know, I just didn't hire you just to cook cheesesteaks. Are you a good person? You know, what goals do you have? You know, is there anything I could help you out with? You know, I always tell them this. I say, when you're ready to, or, you know, if you know, obviously some are going to school. When you're ready, if there's anything I can help you out with, if you need, I can make a phone call. You know, I'm there for you. You know, I'm not that owner that's trying to keep you and be like, no, just work for me. Don't leave me. Don't leave me. You're a good cook. Like, no. You know, if you want to grow within our business, by all means, I'm going to teach you. I tell them all the time, I have nothing to hide. I'll show you invoices.
We're very transparent. I think that's why they know we don't hide anything. We're very transparent with our staff.
You want to know what, you want to own a business? You want to know what rent costs? You want to know what the electricity costs? I'll tell you. I'll show you. You know, and again, you know, if it's not for everybody, right? Some of the kids and some people that aren't with us anymore, it's like you could help them out. And some people don't want it, right? I can't make them. What did they say? Laura Garcia always says, you can't make the horse drink from the.
You can take it to
take the water to the horse, but you can't make the horse. I don't know. So yeah, you know. But again, my staff knows that I'm here for them. You know, always.
Yeah. And one final question: if you can go back and give some advice to your younger self, what would that be?
One advice that I would give myself.
Either related to family, to the business, to working, or whatever.
I think and I'm sorry, I'm going to jump back over.
Go ahead.
For my advice, going back, you know, this wasn't my parents saying that, you know, they did, you know, they gave us the best education. You know, my parents were upper middle class, so, you know, we go on vacations and so forth. But I think for myself, my advice would be more structure when I was younger for myself, education-wise. You know, stop playing around so much, right? Because even though it still made me how I am today, there is still things that I need to work on where I need to polish myself more, which I didn't get when I was younger writing. She helps me understand. She's like, oh my God, Michael, do you know that there is there? You're putting THER, but it's not THIEIR. So you have the wrong there. So those little things, you know, I make fun of myself, but I know that you do need to be polished. You should have polished yourself a little bit more, because with more success, right, you're going to grow the business. You do have to articulate yourself correctly. And I'm not saying that I can't speak, but, you know, those little things, you know. So definitely should have been a little bit, right, structured, more polished in school.
And I think just for me, maybe pushing myself more out of my comfort zone when I was a little bit younger. Now that I look back and the type of person that I am now, and taking this big risk and doing everything that I've done, and I've grown with Wells Fargo, I think I went to Alhambra High, but I wasn't in any club or I wasn't in any sport. You know, like I said, I was going through the motion of high school. I was a good student. I had great friends, never had issues, but I think I would have gone back and maybe been more involved in school activities, little bit more leadership role. I'm thankful that I, got into Wells at a young age and took on those roles then, but I think probably a little bit more leadership roles or activities more in high school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. Well, we're going to move on to the final segment of the show where we get to learn more about what you guys like in the San Gabriel Valley. This is what we call the SGV3, and we ask you to share your 3 favorite or most memorable places or experiences in the San Gabriel Valley. So what would
I'll
be
share
number
one personal, you share the personal, and then we'll end it with
Art together.
Together. So the memory that I have of the San Gabriel Valley, again, it goes back to my elementary school that I went from 1st to 8th grade. It was our fiestas. It was our carnival. My relationship with my school, my friends are my closest friends are from my elementary school. And just the fiestas, my parents being involved in the booths, working the booths, the food, just the music, the priest is there, the sisters are there, and it was just a big party. And so that was always fun. My memories, that was our childhood. That was my memories there in Monrovia and our school. It was just a blast. It was like, the fiestas are here, yeah. And even then, after 8th grade, I was a freshman, and all my friends from elementary school, we will all still go that first year, because it was part of our lives for 8 years. Our elementary school was everything. I tell my son that he just graduated from his elementary school, a Catholic school in Corona, and I see it. He has the same ties that I did, that connection, and so that was mine, the fiestas. It was called the Fiestas.
And what's the school name again?
Immaculate Conception School in Monrovia.
And I want to say, I think my time at Pasadena City College, I went to school full time when I was there 2 days a week. I remember being there from 9 in the morning till 9 o'clock at night. And back then, there was no cell phones. And so I remember they had a roll of just phone booths you would sit in. And I remember I would call my friends, taking my break, but I remember just sitting in those wooden booths, and it was just a row of booths, and you would sit there sitting on the fountain in the front. At that time, I didn't drive when I first started, so I would wait for my ride there in the front. The quad, I felt like I just lived there 2 days out of the week, and it's a beautiful campus. And so a lot of my friends from elementary and high school kind of all went there, so we had a little group there, and I think it was very memorable just walking to all the little lunch places. I know it was a Burger King we used to hang out. Now I think it's a Chick-fil-A on that corner. But really, really just my time at PCC.
Yeah. Well, you sort of did live there, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m.
She did. She would tell
But you just stack all your classes on the 2 days?
Yes, because I was working the other days, so I had to be flexible. So I would go full-time Tuesdays and Thursdays. And that was my commitment to the bank. I said, okay, I could, work the other days. So when I first started.
Wow, tough schedule.
Yeah.
And what about a third?
The third was obviously with us being dating. Do you want to?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's going to be the Derby restaurant in the city of Arcadia. We go way back. I remember we were dating and we were saying, oh, let's go out to dinner, but let's go somewhere nice. And so we
fine dining.
We pulled out the phone book and we looked under fine dining. And even though it's down the street, we're at the Doherty house because we were dating and he was living there. And so it was, let's go to the Derby. And I remember going to the Derby for the first time, and then
we were 22 years old walking in to this fancy restaurant, huh?
Yeah, and then so we went as we dated, and then we went as we got married, and we've been going there for over 20 years. And I even told him one of the times that I was pregnant, I had announced it there at the Derby. I had a surprise 25th birthday at the Derby. Now we take our kids. So it's crazy because we go from we sat at this booth when we were dating, then we're married. Now we have our, party of 6, and our kids loved going to the Derby. We know, the bartender, Mike, who the brother is the owner, he's seen us grow. We're
the same age. So we were in our early 20s,
yeah.
His kids.
Yeah. And they used to bank with Wells Fargo. So I also knew him as a customer.
And they're customers of ours. We follow each other on Instagram. So, we're family. We just, Tyler, the general manager, we text him, hey, we have a party, he knows, party of 6.
Yeah.
Because there's 6 of us.
And so, it's crazy because we've just, and one of the waiters is like, oh my God, you guys are dating now. You're sitting here with your kids. And so that's just, that's us. And they even had a 100 celebration that we were invited to.
The Centennial.
So yeah, that's
Thriving.
really part of our life. I mean, besides the food, that's great, is just, the service, and they know us there, and it's really part of our life, the Derby.
Everything's great except when the check comes with the 4 boys.
I was going to comment on that.
Yeah. Now they're getting older. Now they're like, okay, I want the ribeye, I want the fillet, and add a lobster tail to that.
God, what's that? Like, it could be like almost.
Yeah.
Jeez.
$700, and some restaurants $800. It's just, when we.
But it's a treat when we.
But it's a treat. Yeah, I mean, but money bills. That's what we work hard for.
But we do believe, it's an experience. When we take our kids dining, it's really. I mean, you'll see we get compliments all the time. People come up because our kids, they don't have phones, they don't have tablets. It's really about conversation. And so we always get people that will come up to us and say, oh my God, your kids are not on any device. I said, no, it's all about the experience, and they appreciate it. If they, it's different if you don't appreciate and you're spending that much on a meal, but they truly appreciate it. And it is our family quality time that we have.
I mean, we go to Chili's and there's no phones on the table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You better talk.
Yep.
Are you like watching them? You're like, you're finished. Steak right there.
I'm pretty strict, So one thing, it's funny because one thing with me with cell phones, I mean, obviously it's a tool. I look at it as a tool. I was just telling Justice yesterday. I was like, Justice, you need to get up. You're too much on Instagram. You're too much of this. Like, I'm hooked on it. Right? I get it. It's a new generation. It's tough. You're looking, but. Don't let it overcome your life sometimes. People are just so hooked on social media. And again, your business, you need social media, right? Which is great, but, there's a purpose. And so I'm really strict when it comes to phones with my kids, just like, they have it. They have their phones. Of course, I have my phone too, but not when there's social events or things. You need to be able to communicate and talk.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing those and for sharing your story with us and our listeners. If you want to get a hold of you, check out what you guys do, or check out your food, what's the best way to do that?
I would say go to our website, which is westcoastcheesesteaks.com, on our Instagram also. One thing we do about our that I love about our Instagram, we have Justice, one of our employees who's in charge of it. But it's not just so much about our food, but we like to focus on our employees. We like to focus on us having fun there at the restaurant. So you got to check us out and look at our great videos that she does.
Are you doing like reels and stuff, like throwing water on you, or?
No, we haven't done that yet.
Actually, she's like, Michael, let's do this and let's throw the water. She did bring it up. Yeah. I'm all for it. I say, let's have some fun, right? Yeah. I told her after a while, just as the pictures of food, it gets a little boring, right? Yeah. People want to see personality. They want to see people. And so I said, we got to include our stuff. So you got to go, because we do have some funny videos. But yeah. But to end on that note, it's, we have fun and we talk about our staff, our food. Our slogan is quality plus service equals excellence. And we truly believe that.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for coming on the show, both of you. Appreciate it.
No, thank you
for having us.
This was fun. This is fun.
Thank you.
Like I told you in the morning, I said, wow, it feels great in here. It's so soothing. It's like relaxing in here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I can go to sleep in here.
Well, yeah, it is relaxing here and quiet, but we try to make everybody feel comfortable in sharing their story. So,
and you have.
Thank you for coming on. Well, there you go. Another episode in the books for you. Another restaurant from here in the San Gabriel Valley. And I always appreciate getting to know the backstory of the people behind the restaurants that we frequent. And, one thing that really came through from their story is like, here you see a couple who's really gone through it and is experiencing, their lives together and growing together and all these different seasons of like family and restaurant. And I think that their ability to stay strong together as a couple and then as a family is definitely going to translate to their work and their business. And I definitely can see why they're successful. So definitely, if you haven't already, go check them out in the city of Glendora, right? Yeah. So there's another episode for you. If you like this kind of content, please consider subscribing to the show. Don't forget to like and share. And if you want to support the show in a more meaningful way, please consider becoming a patron on Patreon, MySGV Podcast. And don't forget, I write a newsletter that comes out every week that you can check out on our website. You can also find the full back catalog of episodes on our website, mysgv.net. And until next week, we'll see you then. Thank you for joining us on the MySGV podcast. Check out more of our content on our website, mysgv.net. This show was produced by Scott Wormuth, directed by Russell Mano, edited by Victoria Allers, and original music by Yone OG. If you'd like to join us next week as we capture and share more stories from our diverse community, feel welcome.
Nice mother. No, kind of mother.